That was not because I was underworking, but because before I figured out how to keep track of my hours, every moment I spent not working felt like time stolen from the community. That I hadn't done my due hours, that I was lazy and had abandoned my community in its time of need.
Was it that, or was it benign feeling that you're not going to be able to pay your bills at the end of the month?
We need to get back up to $500 on Patreon. This would give us the funds to replace equipment, begin my HRT, save a little, as well as have some small luxuries like food during my downtime.
Wait, food is a small luxury? Are things really that dire?
I cannot live under the current system. Something needs to give, and I'd rather swallow my pride than end my career. I also need you.
Well, swallowing your pride, that is accurate. I definitely think you would have to do that to put out a video like this.
I think our research here is important. We break.
This just drives me nuts, the way these people who put out YouTube videos actually think their work is important. And somehow, a lot of the viewers actually believe this. If you looked at the comments on Innuendo Studios GoFundMe or GiveSendGo, whatever that was, a lot of them are saying, you do important work and all this sort of stuff. It's like, no, no, he doesn't. No, no, pretty much nobody on YouTube is doing important work. It's entertainment, edutainment at best. Nothing going on here is important. About a year ago, YouTuber who goes by EssenceOfThought extorted, or at least attempted to extort, another YouTuber, Vangelina Skov, because Vangelina had used screenshots in her video that EssenceOfThought also used. So not so much extortion, more so just asking for fair payment, right? That's probably worth about half the revenue of the video, something like that. But EssenceOfThought was much more reasonable and only asked for 30% of the video revenue. We have now some context for why EssenceOfThought might have been attempting to extort this money from Vangelina, because they recently uploaded a quartering Xander Hall Innuendo Studios Struthless style begging video. But before that, this guy CB2, he uploaded a real quick summary of the EssenceOfThought Vangelina Skov drama. So watch this and then get into the begging.
Okay, listen, so this may be more of a niche topic, but I do want to cover it just because it is something that I'm very invested in personally. Like, I find this really interesting. But this is Vangelina Skov, a drama YouTuber who covers similar situations to myself, like the Illuminati situation or like the Colleen Ballinger situation. And it appears that another YouTuber that goes by the name of EssenceOfThought appears to allegedly be extorting her, accusing her of plagiarism, and saying, and I quote,
I will make sure your reputation burns upon fires fueled by your own history.
That's some
That's pretty metal, right? My goodness. I would be intimidated if somebody said that, even if they weren't just sitting in some oddly tiny room. I mean, does this not seem like a strangely tiny room? It's barely bigger than a closet, with some ye old lanterns in there. But I would just give up the money then. Okay, this person's asking me for money. All right, take it, take it, take it. I don't want any trouble.
pretty Disney villain stuff, dude. Before we start, I want to say that this is for news and documenting purposes only. This all started with a call-out video from EOT, which spread like wildfire. It had some wild out there takes, and to be honest, in my opinion, it was very manipulative. EOT compared Skov to Illuminati, and even just the title to begin with. I don't know, this whole video appears to me like an attempted smear campaign against Skov. If you want to watch it, come to your own conclusions. By all means, I'll link it. Skov released her own response, admitting that she had messed up on a couple occasions when providing proper sources, but still tried her best to make sure everything was accurate. Basically, this whole thing boils down to Reddit screenshots not being properly cited. It's also revealed that EOT asked for
That is awful. How could you not source some screenshots from Reddit? Reddit deserves that credit. They need that credit. They don't have a lot going on in their lives. So if you're taking some screenshots from them, you better give them their flowers, or it's going to ruin their month.
Reddit screenshots not being properly cited. It's also revealed that EOT asked for hush money, specifically 30% of her ad revenue, 30%.
Let's see what this email says exactly. Hi, I'm reaching out to you because I've learned that your channel has plagiarized several of my videos. Your channel's video, Lily Orchard, YouTube's biggest creep, Lily Pete, contains several screenshots which are identical to the ones from my videos. The presenter copies several of my phrases almost word for word, and the presenter references the source of our victim testimony, who has not shared their story anywhere else. Plagiarism is not only morally wrong, but also a violation of copyright law, so I expect this to be corrected. Essence of Thought has always intended for our resources to be freely used by others, so usually we would only require you to link our channel in the video description, credit us for the screenshots, and have the presenter cite us whenever one of our ideas or pieces of evidence is used in the video. And I think he reads this part.
Percent of her earnings from her sponsorship and 30% of her Patreon revenue that had.
Okay, he summarizes it. I will read it then. Since you, your writers, or your researchers did not do so, we feel we are entitled to 30% of the video's monetary value as compensation based on the fact that 13 minutes of a 38-minute video are clearly plagiarized. That includes AdSense, Patreon earnings for the month of February, and sponsorship earnings from HelloFresh. These actions are to be taken along with issuing a correction/apology to all social media, as well as including an explanation of the issue at the top of the video description, run by us first, explaining the error. So they want 30% of AdSense, Patreon, and the sponsorship money, and you have to put them in the video description, but you can't just link to it. No, you have to get your description approved by Essence of Thought first. And then it looks like they followed up. Hi, I'm aware that you have updated your video description since my email to include everyone you plagiarized, excluding me, in spite of the fact that I can prove you ripped 13 minutes of your video from my series, including through the clever application of data triangulation. I am, suffice to say, disappointed with your course of action and would like to give you one final chance to make amends before I go public with everything. So, yeah, very extortion-y. I would say. You better make this right or I will go public with your egregious sins of plagiarism.
That EOT asked for hush money, specifically 30% of her ad revenue, 30% of her earnings from her sponsorship, and 30% of her Patreon revenue that had nothing to do with the video at all. And if Scov...
Yeah, Patreon earnings is wild. I can at least understand the logic for AdSense and the sponsorship because that's directly related to the infringing content. But Patreon, maybe if they did one video a month, that could make sense. It looked like Evangelina did more than one video a month. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Either way, absolutely absurd.
hypothetically pay that out, they wouldn't make this video. When Scov didn't reply, EOT contacted HelloFresh, the sponsor, in an attempt to attack her revenue. That's my summary on the situation, at least. Again, I'll link her response if you want to go form your own opinion. Anyways, Twitter obviously had a field day with this. Essence of Thought blackmailing Evangelina Scov for money before doing an emotionally manipulated exposed video because they both made a Lily Orchard video and had similar opinions and put just another Illuminati in the title is the most ironic thing I've ever seen on YouTube. I looked into the Essence of Thought accusations of plagiarism against Evangelina Scov. As someone who actively worked on cases of plagiarism, I can 100% say that Evangelina's case is not plagiarism. Plagiarism, as shown in the H-Bomber Guy video, is best presented with the statement being copied word for word, which isn't the case. People watch one video and think they're experts all of a sudden. I really hated how EOT compared...
Now, maybe they did think they were experts and they genuinely thought that they had been stolen from and were due compensation. But the video we're going to get into next, I think it might have just been a cash grab. They might have just been needing money, grasping for straws, and thought, maybe I can get some money out of this, so I'm going to shoot my shot. Again, maybe it was genuine and they really thought they were being plagiarized, but I don't know.
Isn't the case. People watch one video and think they're experts all of a sudden. I really hated how EOT compared her to Illuminati. Like, I get it, SEO and all. Illuminati is known for her plagiarism and also her abuse and disgusting personality, which Scov has never done. It feels bad faith. I agree with that statement. Whoa, Chris the Narc has stolen Essence of Thought and Evangelina Scov screenshots? Hashtag exposed, hashtag plagiarism, hashtag H-Bomber Guy. Evangelina Scov just wanted to say that I watched your latest video. I've got to say you've responded a lot kinder than I would. Although it doesn't seem like extortion, it is extortion. I hope everything doesn't go as as it might, you obviously did nothing wrong. Essence of Thought is a total psychotic freak. Upon belief that Vangelina Skov had plagiarized their video, which amounted to a few of the same screenshots and similar takes, they emailed demanded 30% of ad revenue, Patreon money for the month, and sponsorship earnings. When they did not respond, they emailed again, giving them a final chance to make amends before going public. This is by every definition of the word extortion. Do not let this sicko loser get away with it. And then it shows.
Okay. This is coming from that bigot Chud logic, though. All right. He hates everybody who's not a straight white male. So this is irrelevant.
By every definition of the word extortion. Do not let this sicko loser get away with it. And then it shows the email. Just because you believe in your heart that you didn't do plagiarism doesn't mean you didn't do it. Like, how can you say they didn't cite anyone and didn't check sourcing and still cry that they aren't plagiarizing? You maybe plagiarized someone else who did it too. EOT weighs in a couple times on this discussion. Also, notice how no effort was made to explain this to me when I reached out to them in private to give them a chance to explain things like / fix them. Only when I did the exact thing I told them I would did they
Yeah, well, when an insane person emails you asking you for money, it's pretty reasonable that you just don't want to engage. It's like, oh, this is an insane person. This is like when some homeless person comes up to you and says something about aliens. I don't think I want to engage. I'm just gonna keep moving. Hopefully they go away.
chance to explain things / fix them. Only when I did the exact thing I told them I would did they suddenly try explaining their action. I mean, you reached out and asked for money. Anyone would ignore that, which usually is the response when people try to extort them for money. In my opinion, this whole attempt to expose is just really bad faith. But I do want to know what you guys think because I am open to other opinions. It varies on how you interpreted those response videos. Anyways, be sure to have your notifications on in case any other updates come.
So, nice little summary there from CV2. Shout outs to him for that. And now here we have Essence of Thought's video. Is this the end for Essence of Thought?
This has been a long time coming. I first thought about making this video back in September of 2023, just after we'd lost $119 on Patreon, yet
Right off the bat. I'm not saying $119 is nothing, but if you lose $119 on your Patreon, you shouldn't be scared or worried about that, right? Maybe you're thinking, oh, Patreon money's going down. I need to correct something. I need to get the trend to be going upwards again or whatever. But if you're stressing, how am I going to pay my bills over 119 Patreon dollars? You got a problem. You got to be doing something else.
just after we'd lost $119 on Patreon, yet ultimately decided to hold off until I was done with our series regarding the events of 2019. That way, I could get back to making the videos I wanted to make and rebuild our audience. Then, sometime in September of 2024, after losing another $90 on Patreon over the span of about 3 months, I took these screenshots in.
So here, the people give reasons in the exit survey or whatever for why they stopped giving their money. We got $10, $5, $35 saying my financial situation changed. Then we have $1. I only intended to give Essence of Thought with Ethel Thurston a specific amount of money, and now I have. So weird that you would sign up for Patreon and not just do some sort of donation. I don't know, maybe they don't have any other way to do it. It's only through Patreon, but all right, people are rethinking their $1 monthly contribution. We got 25, 5, 1, 1, 5, 10, 5, all saying their financial situations changed. Some other reasons. Oh, so some of these people got hacked. $5, compromised Patreon account. And another $5, someone got into my account. So supposedly these people got hacked, and the hacker went and pledged $5 a month to Essence of Thought. Strange. Very strange Patreons.
On Patreon over the span of about 3 months. I took these screenshots in preparation to make that video.
Okay, here we got some more in-depth reasons. $1, my financial situation changed. Well, it's not a lot of money. I'm trying to cut down on some spending, and I find that I don't really watch the videos enough. I support what they say, but I am not in a good emotional place to engage with depressing things right now. Okay. I don't know what type of financial situation you're in where you're like, oh, this $1, we got to address this $1. I think maybe it's like, oh, I think I might need to find a place with cheaper rent, or maybe it's time for a new job. But no, I need to review my $1 Patreon subscription. The only thing that kind of makes sense is maybe they gave to a bunch of people on Patreon and they're like, okay, I just have to cut all of this out. And so Essence of Thought was one of the people that got caught up in that. Either way, it's very funny that somebody removes their $1 a month contribution and like, I can't afford this anymore. Plus, you're just too depressing. Your videos make me sad. You'd think you read that, oh, are my videos too depressing? Do I need to do something a little bit more upbeat, more lighthearted, fun? Doesn't seem like they did that though, because I mean, this is I guess for me, it's very enjoyable. I love all the videos of these people begging. Been on a kick of beggars lately, but we also got $10. I pledged on the wrong account, so I'm gonna pledge on my other. Don't worry, I love your stuff. Okay, so that one's not even really removing it. They're just gonna do it on another account. $5, my financial situation changed, inflation, etc., hitting me hard. Right, giving you $5 a month, this isn't turned into like giving you $7 a month. So I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to take it back. I really hope that they re-signed up with at least the $1 a month contribution, right? That should more than make up for the inflation.
Yet I didn't feel like I could at the time, especially not with all the support.
Oh, we got more. $10. My financial situation has changed and I need to make cuts to my expenses. I'm sorry, I'll subscribe again when I have better income. Wonder if they ever came back. $5. Out of control credit card spending. So it seems like there's just a lot of financially irresponsible people that were contributing to Ethel's Patreon. $1 for currently in a financial crunch. Every penny counts on my end. Once I recover, I'll resume. So another person where $1 a month is apparently going to make a difference for them in their budget. But at least they say, hey, when I figure this out, when I get a new job, when I get placed with lower rent, don't worry, I'll come back and I'll give you another $1 a month. I'll make up for 0.5% of what you've lost.
Video, yet I didn't feel like I could at the time, especially not with all the support you'd given us when our previous landlord kicked us out.
$20. Love your work, but I got laid off. Hopefully I'll be back soon. Okay, that's reasonable. $1. The creator makes very long videos, and I don't have the focus or time to watch that length. Okay, I gotta check now. How long are these videos? You're saying you just don't even have the time. It's kind of weird. Wouldn't you have noticed how long the videos were when you initially signed up for the Patreon? We got 17, 27, 20, 27. So like 15 to 30 minutes. Oh, some of them are longer here. 43 minutes, hour 6. Most of them, though, like maybe a half hour. Yeah, a couple of them that are a little bit more than that, but also a lot of them that are a lot less than that. Apparently, they ran out of time to watch the half-hour videos, and they're taking their $1 back.
Time, especially not with all the support you'd given us when our previous landlord kicked us out with
Oh, I think I already
just 2
got those
weeks'
ones.
notice. It felt as if asking for more support on Patreon would seem ungrateful, especially as I hadn't really gotten back into the swing of things. So I decided to wait.
Well, if you're making videos, though, maybe they weren't making videos. That's what they're saying. If you're making videos, seems like it makes sense. Just plug your Patreon at the end or every time, right? I don't know why that would seem ungrateful. What isn't that just what you've been doing the whole time?
Especially as I hadn't really gotten back into the swing of things. So I decided to wait until I'd been posting regularly before doing so.
Okay, so they hadn't been posting regularly. Well, yeah, that's fair enough then. What? Kind of ridiculous to ask for people to donate to your Patreon when you're not making content. That's generally why people sign up for a Patreon.
So I decided to wait until I'd been posting regularly before doing so. That is why, after a successful few months of putting out videos on a weekly basis, I opened up a script and managed to write a single line.
I really don't like to do this. I try to keep my promotion to the allocated slots on my videos, but things are looking rather dire. That's all they could come up with. That was not really a video topic, I would say. Apparently, that seems to be changing though. Lots of people, like I said, Quartering, Xander Hall, Innuendo Studios, Struthless, they've all been doing videos like this. Hey, I'm in financial troubles, and I don't really want to do work that would merit people giving me more money or making more money through AdSense. I just want to keep doing the same amount of work and tell people I'm desperate and plead for their money.
This, I opened up a script and managed to write a single line right before my worktop died, forcing us to fundraise for that. Which, by the way, you're
So they wrote one line about how desperate things were, how badly they needed money, and then the computer they were writing that on dies. I mean, that's poetic.
forcing us to fundraise for that. Which, by the way, you're incredible. I really cannot overstate just how grateful I am for that support. But it did leave me once again feeling like I couldn't ask for more without sounding ungrateful. So I decided to hold off for another few months. Then, just the other week, Ian Danskin of Innuendo Studios published a video talking about monetary struggles and the possibility of going bankrupt, and I told
And I thought, wow, that was a really good video of a pathetic wretch deciding to just beg for money rather than put out more than 5 videos in a year's time. Because that's what Innuendo Studios had done. In the last year, excluding the begging video, he had put out 5 videos that total up to less than an hour of runtime. And rather than readjusting, evaluating his content production schedule, or just not being so lazy and putting out more content that would bring in more money, he said, no, I'll just beg. And it worked out greatly for him. I think he got like $150,000 before he closed donations.
myself I should probably wait a bit in case people feel like I'm trying to bandwagon off of him. And it's at that point that I just had to stop myself. I could keep putting this conversation off forever, or at least until another thing breaks. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to stay quiet about our finances until I can no longer replace essential equipment, or even face the prospect of being homeless. I need to talk about this, to try.
So things are that bad that Ethel is worried about going homeless. That's pretty bad. It's crazy that you let this build up, or I guess sink down month after month after month. And rather than doing anything actively to address that problem, you just let things keep sinking until you're at the point where you have to desperately beg for money. I don't understand how these people keep doing this. It's only a matter of time before Xanderhall puts out a video just like this. He didn't make a full video saying, oh, I'm poor, I'm destitute, please give me a lump sum of money. He was just 2 hours into a live stream. He's like, guys, I've only made $5 so far. I just got the first donation 2 hours in for $5. You guys really need to be contributing more. So he didn't fully just upload a video begging. But it's not really, if that keeps going, it's only a matter of time before Xanderhall makes his own version of this video, of the Innuendo Studios video, of the Struthless video.
Being homeless. I need to talk about this, to try and put things back on the right track.
Oh, and yeah, it's just so crazy to me. Like I said, you keep letting it sink and sink and sink, and you would rather come out with this embarrassing video where you're saying, I'm financially irresponsible. My videos, people don't really like them as much. They don't want to contribute. I'm not getting the AdSense and the viewership that I used to. So please give me money, right? I don't know how to manage finances. You would rather do that than just address the problem in a way that would meaningfully alleviate the issue on long term.
Starting with the current situation, our Patreon has more than halved in the last few years. Starting in March of 2019, So before our first video during the breakout of Transmisia within the Secker community that year, we were bringing in $652 a month. This took a bit of a beating around September, dropping us down to $563, but it healed back up to $673 by March of 2020. This is
It's crazy that that's all that you were making is like at most maybe $700, and you felt you could rely on that. And so much so that it going down $100 or $200 is panic mode for you. How do you get it into your head that that's something you should depend on? Like if that's some side income, that's great. That's not nothing if you got other stuff going on and that's just some extra money that you're bringing in. But you maybe got up to $700 a month and thought, yeah, I'm good. I can make a living doing this. I don't know. Seems very risky to me.
$673 by March of 2020. This is when the slow decay began. By August of
Oh, and also, so it's, what was that, 2019, I think they said, where they more or less peaked. It's just been like 5, 6 years of it slowly going down over time. They've had so much time to course correct, and they didn't. They just let their position keep getting worse and worse and worse until the point where they have to announce to everybody, I'm destitute. Please give me money.
This is when the slow decay began. By August of 2023, we dropped down to $498, which then plummeted to $379 that September. This happened whilst Adita had been left unemployed because of government restrictions placed on the United Nations, which was a major source of funding for human rights organizations across India. One week, Adita was traveling between states, interviewing victims in order to help develop new training programs. The next, she was out of the job. This,
Oh, Adita, I'm pretty sure that's their partner, that I'm assuming they live together and split expenses.
grams. The next, she was out of the job. This, coupled with that sharp drop-off, is why I approached my dad, asking if we could borrow $100 a month to make up for that shortfall, just until Adita could find a job. We had no idea just how long that would take at the time.
That's another one. And more reasonable to ask family for help. I would feel weird that you're asking for this every month. If it's a one-time thing, that actually makes sense, you know. Hey, my partner just lost their job. Could you spot us for a month or whatever while we figure things out? And maybe it ends up being 2, 3 months or whatever before they get a job. But you're just gonna ask them to essentially become $100 Patreon subscriber. I just don't understand the mentality. Like, to me, it's so much worse to actually go and ask people for money on a continuous basis or strangers rather than to just fix your issue. Because they've been letting this slip since 2019. Adjust your content style. Like, why are you doing this? It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre to me that you would rather embarrass yourself and just ask people for money than fix this. And again, a little bit more reasonable with the family member, but even then, I would think it's a 1, maybe 2, 3 time thing at most. Not, could you just indefinitely give us $100 a month?
Had no idea just how long that would take at the time. We did manage to build back up to $435 by June of 2024, only for that to plummet back down to $343 by September, which is why I took those screenshots to make this video. That's why I began adding, and we cannot survive without your support, to the opening of each video. I'd hope that as I
Very literal in this case. Usually, when a creator says, we cannot survive without your support, It's, maybe true if you think, well, if every single person stopped contributing, yeah, then they might not be able to continue. But it's not the situation where, yeah, if like 5 of you stop contributing, we're screwed. We're gonna have to ask dad for $200 a month.
Put out regular videos focusing on external issues rather than conflict within trans and leftist communities, that things would heal. Yet they didn't. In fact, they continue to get worse, with Patreon dropping below $290.
I guess I gotta give a little bit of credit to them. They did think, I guess I'll slightly change the genre of my content and see if that helps. But then it doesn't, and the downward trend just continues. Okay, well, try again. Try another new strategy.
Worse, with Patreon dropping below $290. So stepping back to look at the big picture, we've gone from $650/$670 a month down to $290 a month, less than half of what we once made. To see your income,
And I've chosen to do more or less nothing about that other than have anxiety and consider begging, but putting it off because I had a disaster where I had to ask for people to replace my equipment.
less than half of what we once made. To see your income shrink month by month, sometimes in small nuggets, sometimes in huge chunks, is fucking terrifying. It feels like I'm standing on a ledge which is slowly crumbling beneath my feet. It's
Maybe you should try backing up, no? And by backing up, I mean adjusting your content strategy, getting a job, something like that. But no, just continue to stand there and look down the edge as it crumbles further and further. That's their
a
strategy.
ledge which is slowly crumbling beneath my feet. It's one of those things that forces me to lay awake in bed at night, staring blankly at the ceiling, just dreading any and all future notifications on Patreon. Now,
So they're sitting there afraid of getting notifications from Patreon. It's like, oh, one step closer to homelessness.
and all future notifications on Patreon. Now, I just want to be clear, I am not upset at any of the people who drew their pledge. The number one reason for doing so was changing financial situations. This was explained in the exit surveys in 2024, as seen via the screenshots I took at the time, and remains true to this day. But this
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't really be upset with them. I don't think you relate to them more than anything else, right? I'd imagine if you were contributing to anybody's Patreon, you probably had to reevaluate that or end it.
took at the time, and remains true to this day. But this is something I need to draw attention to, as I just can't live like this. I can't live on a nice edge. I need to bring in enough to start replacing equipment, get on HRT, and save a little in case something terrible happens. Something I should be clear on is that Adita has found herself a job in the meantime, though it took her over a year and a half due to the current job market. She now
Year and a half is crazy. Maybe they were earnestly spending a lot of time looking for a job for that year and a half. I find it hard to believe. Unless you're in North Korea or something like that, how does it possibly take a year and a half to find a job? You can't even get a fast food job or something to help pay the bills?
works in a tech service call center 10 hours a day, not including the 3 to 4 hours of daily travel on top of that. She
And so the job they got is 10 hours a day with a 3 hour commute there and a 3 hour commute back?
works in a tech service call center 10 hours a day, not including the 3 to 4 hours of daily travel on top of that.
3 to 4 hours. Okay, that's insane. So a year and a half of looking for a job, and that's all you could find is something 3 or 4 hours away? That just seems absurd to me.
She literally gets out of bed, leaves, works, comes back. We sit down to eat together whilst watching a single episode of something, and then goes back to sleep. That is her daily routine, all for a whopping $200 a month. So just enough money.
So I think I can't remember, India? I think they live in India or something like that. That's crazy. That's essentially you're putting your partner through that because you can't figure out how to fix your content thing. Like obviously they had a job before and they lost it, so they need to figure that out. But if you're living in a country where they're making $200 a month working that many hours, your expenses can't be that crazy. You could easily fund that with the YouTube channel. But since you just continue to let it slip, now this person has to work 10 hours a day with 3, 4 hours of commuting on top of that because you can't adjust your content strategy. That's brutal.
Money that it replaces what my dad was lending us and the money lost since September of 2023. So even with
Oh, so then are they saying dad stopped giving them money too?
So just enough money that it replaces what my dad was lending us and the money lost since September of 2023. So even with the job, we haven't made any ground. We're right where we started and can't even begin to think about saving anything. That's why we had to fundraise when my worktop died, in spite of knowing that it was coming for more than a year. And I can't keep living like that. I can't keep worrying that the next thing to.
Sorry about my voice. I broke down crying on the first take. I don't understand why you would put something like that in the video unless you're trying to be emotionally manipulative. This is an edited video, and you're not even showing your face. You could just cut up until the point where you weren't crying, and then wait till you gather yourself and start again. But no, they are going to make a point to put that in the video to let you know this is how sad and depressed I am about this situation. Please give me money. It makes me cry when I talk about the situation that I'm in.
I can't keep living like that. I can't keep worrying that the next thing to break will be the last, the thing that ends us, this channel, my career. I have looked into getting another job.
Career is a very generous term based off how you're describing and how you live. I mean, is it really a career where you lose $200 a month and you're worried about going homeless and you have to beg for money? I don't know if that counts as a career, right? Because I don't think somebody who works at fast food restaurant really calls it a fast food career.
Channel, my career. I have looked into getting another job. Yet,
Okay.
seeing Edita's job situation, given that she has experience working at international level human rights organizations, yet she's had to get a job outside her field that severely underpays for the hours she does, tells me that there's not a chance in fucking hell for me. She's worked.
It's such a defeatist attitude there. Well, it took my partner a year and a half to find a job, so there's no hope for someone like me. Okay, well, if that's the attitude you have, I see why you just let things slip until you have to beg.
Me that there's not a chance in fucking hell for me. She's worked for both UN Women and UNICEF. Me? I'm a disabled YouTuber. How the fuck do I market myself to a potential employer when I'm up against people of her experience who are also struggling? The one saving grace over the holidays has been AdSense. We've had a couple of good videos, particularly the Rowling versus John Oliver one, money that immediately went into paying taxes, renewing our medical insurance, and AC.
Paying their taxes, so they were pulling at Innuendo Studios and not keeping up with their taxes every month. If you're independent contractor or whatever, you should just be setting that aside every month. A third of what you make or whatever, that's just not yours. You have to think of it like that, not put it towards expenses or anything like that. Otherwise, you end up in a situation like Innuendo Studios where you have $60,000 of tax debt.
See maintenance. And whilst I hope that keeps up for now, many of you likely already know.
Oh, also, so if the J.K. Rowling video worked, why are you not doing more of that? What, 6,000 for Keir Starmer, however you say that guy's name, the UK guy? Oh, I guess this J.K. Rowling didn't do that well, 6,000, but 15,000 on this one, 3,000, another 3,000. I mean, even then, the J.K. Rowlings, they do get at least 6,000 compared to a lot of these getting $2,000 or $3,000. So just go crazy on J.K. Rowling. I mean, there are channels who basically just make videos about Elon Musk. That's all they do is talk about the stuff that Elon Musk is up to. And they make very good money. You could do that. Yeah, look at this, 30,000. Oh, this is Jill Barrett's. But this one, 107,000, J.K. Rowling. I mean, that's it. Keep doing that or do more of that and be a little bit more experimental with the other content. See if you can't find something else that will work. And that seems like a no-brainer to me.
And whilst I hope that keeps up for now, many of you likely already know that AdSense is incredibly fickle. One minute it feels like it's improving, and then the next it feels like the algorithm has a personal vendetta against the channel. In particular, I've noticed YouTube seems to be suggesting older videos less and less. I'm not sure if that's just a result of how many new videos.
Well, yeah, older videos generally not going to be where you're getting most of your money anyway. That I wouldn't think for most people that's a meaningful percentage of their ad revenue. Your video gets most of the views in the first 2-3 days, maybe the first week. Every once in a while, yeah, a video sits around and doesn't do much and then gets picked up further down the line and brings in a bunch of views. But you shouldn't be relying on that. It should pretty much just be the videos that you're putting out that month. That's what contributes to the money you bring in that month.
Videos less and less. I'm not sure if that's just a result of how many new videos are uploaded daily, or whether it's just the algorithm that's been updated to more aggressively push new things at the expense of the old, but the result is the same either way. It used to be that every now and then an old video would get a second wind, bringing in a little extra money, but that no longer happens, at least not for me. YouTube.
I mean, the way they say that, it just sounds so unreliable. You're just hoping out of nowhere some old video that you put up gets picked up and that helps you get through the month. There are so many signs that this person needs to readjust and change their approach to making money. But no, that never happens.
But that no longer happens, at least not for me. YouTube is my full-time career. It has been since I finished my degree in 2017, though I've been running this particular channel since September of 2011.
So they have a degree, and they're saying they can't, it's hopeless for them to get a job. I mean, I guess if it's been that long and you haven't used it at all, it's not a ton of help, but I mean, really, if we were talking about you've only lost like $200, I don't know why you never thought maybe try get a job. Like, even before this was so bad, like after you got out of college, why not try and get a job? And then if the YouTube stuff gets to a point where you're making $1,000+ a month, maybe go part-time on a job, or once it goes up even more than that, then you can go full-time on YouTube. This just seemed like there was such a good chance of it ending up in this sort of situation.
I survived Gamergate, the secular community transmedia outbreak of 2019, and the adpocalypse. I survived so much shit, yet I am terrified that both the channel and myself are quickly circling the drain without any way back. which is a big
I think that's why I titled my Xanderhal video.
fucking shame, since there's still so much we have to do. The trans community is on fire, both in the UK and the US. We need the public to be equipped to fight now more than ever. That means we need people who can spend their work hours researching, processing, and distributing information to those of us with less time. I think our research here is important. We break
This just drives me nuts, the way these people who put out YouTube videos actually think their work is important. And somehow, a lot of the viewers actually believe this. If you looked at the comments on Innuendo Studios GoFundMe or GiveSendGo, whatever that was, a lot of them are saying, you do important work and all this sort of stuff. It's like, no, he doesn't. No, pretty much nobody on YouTube is doing important work. It's entertainment, edutainment at best. Nothing going on here is important.
time. I think our research here is important. We break down studies, we watch and report on key threats to the community, we debunk common anti-trans myths, and we explain how the gender critical movement, formerly known as the TERF movement, operates. We produce an average of 3 to 4 videos a month, all fully referenced in order to give you, the viewer, the ability to check all things for yourself and expand your knowledge.
Okay, well, if you're only able to put out 3 to 4 videos a month, you're really counting on a small handful of videos to do well. And you yourself said there's a lot of variance with the AdSense. It can be good at one point and all of a sudden really bad. Well, put out more videos then. So every single video isn't so high stakes. And if you want to keep doing the more researched videos that supposedly take so much time that you can only put out 3 or 4 a month, mix in some videos that are lower stakes that you don't have to put so much time into. Like the J.K. Rowling stuff, maybe that requires a lot of research and stuff. I would think you could gather up some of J.K. Rowling's tweets and read those and talk about those and make a video, or do what iDub should have done his content comp on, talk about Asmongold. I think there's I don't know if it's actually true, but I've heard people say he is the most popular political streamer on Twitch right now. Surely there's a market for talking about Asmongold. I mean, I've gotten some decent views talking about Asmongold, but they weren't really politically minded. It was when he talked about how he almost died from cleaning dead animals out of his house. Maybe that's not up Essence of Thought's alley, but he talks about lots of politics stuff. Respond to that.
The ability to check all things for yourself and expand your knowledge. We also refuse to sanitize topics.
Or you could do Elon Musk too. I said that earlier. Lots of people make a bunch of money pretty much just being an Elon Musk channel. Throw some of those in there. Are those going to require a whole bunch of research? I don't think so.
For corporate greed or the sensitivities of violent bigots who will never support us. When we uncover abuse, we label it for what it is without hesitation. We do so because we are survivors ourselves. We know what it's like to have the violence you suffered trivialized as a means of being denied justice. This has led some to label us.
Really, people trivialize your struggles? That is disgusting. I don't know how anybody could make light of the struggles that you went through. That's really messed up that people would do that.
As a means of being denied justice. This has led some to label us alarmist or hyperbolic, like when we first called out the anti-Semitism and broader fascism, not to mention the sexualization of minors, inherent to the gender-critical movement. Though, I have to say, I feel we've been absolved of any accusations of exaggerating at this point. We also advocate for groups that so few are willing to support. Intersex folk, xenogender folk, trans men and trans masks, those with cluster B disorders, plural folk. We set up Pluralkit in our Discord server, and we've had several plural folk tell us that they're surprised to see it there because most server owners refuse to set it up. Our Discord
Okay, so that's the type of important work that they're talking about. Their Discord is more inviting and accepting. I mean, yeah, that is very important work that you're doing then. Very important that people feel welcomed to your Discord. That's gonna move the needle.
as most server owners refuse to set it up. Our Discord community is also the only place we know of that truly has zero tolerance for ableism, even the socially acceptable kinds. For some people, our spaces are one of maybe 2 or 3 public spaces where they feel accepted. I hope you can see the worth in that, even if I struggle with doing.
I gotta be honest, I really don't see the worth in your Discord server being a place that people feel comfortable. Like, that's cool if you want to do that. I don't have a problem with that or whatever, but you're that's supporting evidence for the work you do being important. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need a little bit more of that before I subscribe to the Patreon.
I hope you can see the worth in that, even if I struggle with doing so at times. I often feel like an imposter, someone who walked into things and doesn't deserve any of the support I do receive. I regularly have to stop and remind myself of some of the good we've done, affirming myself throughout the day.
Positive affirmations. Gotta do those to get through the day. Yeah.
Done. Affirming myself throughout the day. Half a dozen people. That's how many have told me at one point or another that my work is among the reasons they are still walking on this earth. Half a dozen.
I mean, this sort of stuff drives me nuts. Any content creator that gets any sort of traction is gonna have people that say this. Even if you do brainless content, just pointing and laughing at stuff like I do, you're gonna have people that say, "Oh, I found your content when I was in a really rough period, and I was able to laugh every day when I watched your content. You saved my life." It's like, okay, that's interchangeable. They could have found any YouTube channel that did that. With something like this, sure, it's a little bit more specific, but every content creator of any size gets this sort of thing. And if you're actually letting that go to your head and think, "Oh, I do important work because 6 people have told me I saved their lives," like stop. Stop. You're way too online. Way too online if you think this is actually going on.
Among the reasons they are still walking on this earth. Half a dozen people who would be dead, walking around, living their lives thanks to us. About a dozen more have told me that my strength in the face of violence and bigotry has in turn given them the strength to finish their degree, leave a toxic workplace, or escape an abusive household. I can't even begin to estimate how many have told me that my work here gave them the tools to go out and convince family members or work colleagues that trans people are not the monsters they've been led to believe we are. That last bit, by the way, that is why we do what we do. Our primary objective here on the channel. That is.
Okay, that's great that you want to do that stuff that you think is important, but you also have to pay the bills. So, like I said, maybe mix in some more lighthearted stuff so you don't have people unsubscribing from the Patreon saying, "Yeah, these videos are just too depressing now." And then you'd be able to put out more than 3 to 4 videos a month.
We do. Our primary objective here on the channel. That is why I get out of bed in the morning. I know I'm not the most charismatic. I don't pass, I'm unabashedly autistic. I just don't appeal to many cis people, particularly small-time bigots.
So is the autism the disability that they mentioned earlier when they said they're a disabled YouTuber?
Just don't appeal to many cis people, particularly small-time bigots. I know that I'm not going to have some grand sweeping effects on the perceptions of trans people by general society. I am just a random trans YouTuber to most people. But what I can do is equip those you watching with the tools to be advocates. Because the arguments we present here, taken and presented by you, whether you're another trans person or ICS ally, will have a much greater impact in changing the minds of fence sitters and even the small-time bigots in your life. That is our primary goal here, and I would hope that that is something worth supporting. I'm not asking for
Maybe to some people, not so much to me, but I don't give that to anybody on Patreon. So a single leftist YouTuber does not need $20,000 a month. For teams, it's of course different. Okay, well, yeah, but giving on Patreon isn't really about who needs the money. It's more, I think, well, I like what this person does with their content, so I'll throw them a couple bucks a month.
that is something worth supporting. I'm not asking for thousands or even tens of thousands a month like some YouTubers. I don't expect nor want a luxurious lifestyle. I just want to be able to stop being afraid of what's coming. I just want to be able to begin HRT and enjoy the small things in life while saving a little for when things go bad.
What do you think this is a long-term solution to upload a begging video? So I don't think it's going to be. Maybe they plan to extort more people in addition to the begging, and that will make it so they don't have to stress about stuff and they can enjoy the little things in life. But probably not. Probably not going to work out for you long time. I don't understand the mindset of people who let it go down and down, month after month, get worse and worse, and don't meaningfully address the problem. Like, yeah, this might help you for the next couple months, but if people just sign up for your Patreon or give you some money because you're in a terrible financial state right then and you beg for money, those aren't like dedicated people who are going to be committed to giving that money month after month or anything like that. Yeah, you might get that one-time bump, but what are you going to do to adjust your content so that you don't have to do this again in a year or two?
Small things in life while saving a little for when things go bad. I just want to see some return on the work I do each and every day. I've previously mentioned that my therapist helped me devise a new system of keeping track of my work hours. That was not because I was underworking, but because before I figured out how to keep track of my hours, every moment I spent not working felt like time stolen from the community. That I hadn't done my due hours, that I was lazy and had abandoned my community in its time of need.
Was it that, or was it the gnawing feeling that you're not going to be able to pay your bills at the end of the month? Like, that's good that you're keeping track of your work hours. You should have been doing that anyway, but you got there eventually. Was it really that you felt like you were abandoning people, or were you abandoning the rent payment?
Lazy and had abandoned my community in its time of need. It felt like betrayal. This wasn't helped by the whole myth of meritocracy that was instilled in me as a child, as with many people, leading me to perceive my lack of stability as proof that I wasn't doing enough. Suffice to say, I keep track of my hours in order to make sure
It seems pretty clear you're not doing enough, right? The 3 to 4 videos a month isn't paying the bills. I don't know how else you're measuring that, but I think that's a good starting point. Yeah, sure, there's more to life than paying rent. But if you can't even do that, seems pretty obvious, yeah, you're not doing enough.
Suffice to say, I keep track of my hours in order to make sure I don't burn myself out. I have given my mind and body to the cause. I have turned down work opportunities because said opportunities were premised on ignoring bigotry, more specifically the torture of LGBT plus youth.
Okay, what kind of jobs are these that you're turning down? It's great that you want to have principles, but pretty much every regular person compromises some of their principles in order to have their job and pay the bills, right? Maybe you work for a really small mom and pop place and you think they do everything ideally, but most people work for a pretty big company that I'm pretty sure they're not 100% satisfied with everything that that company does, right? Like if you're one of the people who has a $20,000 a month Patreon, then you can afford to be very principled. But if you're scraping by, you can't really afford to do that. If you want that to be a motivator for you to do better, then that's great. But if you're struggling to pay the bills, it's so much so that you have to beg people for money, yeah, maybe you gotta loosen up on some of the principles, at least temporarily.
More specifically, the torture of LGBT plus youth. I have stood up to bullies and tyrants many times my size, and I have never backed down at the cost of the community.
He's one of those bullies and tyrants, Vangelina.
My size, and I have never backed down at the cost of the community. I keep the names of those lost with me. The likes of Tony McDade and Vicky Thompson. Trans people who many, even those within the community, consider imperfect victims that are thus undeserving of justice or even acknowledgement explicitly because nobody else is willing to advocate for them. Through constant abuse and violence, for which I am medicated and receiving therapy for, I have continued to give things my all. Which is why I need you, especially if you're a cis ally. Again, I know trans people in the UK and the US are suffering right now, but I also know that many of you are cis people or are trans people in countries where things aren't quite as bad, some of whom have wondered what they can do to help. Well, here's one material way that you can do just that by supporting trans voices like ours.
I know some of you out there want to do your part and help the world. Well, here's a great opportunity. You can sign up for my Patreon and really make a difference in the world.
That by supporting trans voices like ours. We need to get back up to $500 on Patreon. This would give us the funds to replace equipment, begin my HRT, save a little, as well as have some small luxuries like food during my downtime.
Wait, food is a small luxury? Are things really that dire? Food is a luxury?
As well as have some small luxuries like food during my downtime. Just the little things that give life meaning, allowing me to live rather than merely survive. That's just over $200, which might sound like a lot, but if 50 people put down $5 a month, that would resolve our financial worries overnight. $5. What can
Would that really resolve them? You'd be good. It must be really cheap wherever they live. I think it's India. I'm not positive, but so $250 a month, that's the difference. Then you're totally good.
our financial worries overnight? $5. What can you buy these days for $5? And yet, that $5
The Patreon of somebody who puts out more entertaining content.
can be a life-changing thing if enough people give it. No amount is too small when it comes to crowdfunding. Every $1, $2, or $3 helps towards that goal. It is doable. I know. We've done it before. We just need to build
The zoom ins on the animated face that just does not change at all. Very funny to me. Yeah, the head just doesn't move at all. And then the expression changes. Very strange to watch. I feel like there should be some changes in pose and stuff too, but it's just the exact same pose. And they go, it's very off-putting.
No, we've done it before. We just need to build back to that point. It should also be mentioned that those who donate $10 or more will get their username in the credits of every video whilst they're a patron, and those who give $20 or more will have their name read out loud by myself personally. So that's a great way for you to make your permanent mark on the channel's legacy, a way for you to say that you did your
Channel's legacy. I just hate the way these people talk about their channels like they're doing something. The legacy of your YouTube channel? I mean, who cares about who even wants to have a legacy? What? I don't know how people get into their heads that the stuff that they're doing on YouTube is this important.
part during the community's darkest hour.
Oh, and also, so are you not expecting to ever really be all that much more successful than you are right now? Because if you're trying to get to a point where you're really successful and the Patreon's booming, not really realistic that you're going to read out every single person's name out loud. I know some people do it even though it's really long, but it's awful. You just want to kill the retention by having everybody click off 5 minutes early because you're reading off a list of names. Just do the thing where it scrolls past really fast.
That you did
Because really, who is out there that's like, oh man, if I can get my name read out loud at the end of their videos, then that's worth $20 a month. I mean, that's a very strange person that you're marketing to there.
your part during the community's darkest hour. Outside of this video, I'm going to start pushing Patreon more, both in videos and on social media.
You're going to start put more than this? I mean, this is 20 minutes of you just pushing your Patreon. How are you possibly going to push it more?
During the community's darkest hour. Outside of this video, I'm going to start pushing Patreon more, both in videos and on social media. There's been a little hesitancy over this in the past, but again, I cannot live under the current system. Something needs to give, and I'd rather swallow my pride than end my career. I also need you.
Well, swallowing your pride, that is accurate. I definitely think you would have to do that to put out a video like this. But I could not see myself doing this.
Swallow my pride than end my career. I also need you to start sharing our videos more often. Whenever we post,
Okay, this is the same thing Xanderhalt did. He blamed people and said the people who watch videos and don't like, comment, and subscribe are the problem. That you have some obligation, regardless of the content, regardless of the value, the entertainment value that it provides, you're obligated to like, comment, and subscribe. It's just not how it works. Put out content that merits people doing that. If they really like it, if they find it entertaining, they will do that on their own. It might help on the specific video where you ask for that, but you can't tell people, you need to adjust your behavior and be more generous with those likes.
you to start sharing our videos more often. Whenever we post, maybe just think of one thing you learned or your answers to the questions at the end and post that to social media alongside a link to the video.
Well, you know what, Essence of Thought? I will be linking to your video in my description. So I'm doing my part. I'm helping you out there.
And post that to social media alongside a link to the video. The more people who become a part of our community, the easier it becomes to reach our goal. I am open to any and all suggestions on how to boost viewership. I've been trying to make things a little more casual across.
Do more J.K. Rowling. Do Elon Musk. Do Asmongold. Now, you probably could have talked about all of this Israel, Palestine, IDub, Sasan, Ethan stuff. Lots of people getting lots of views off of that. There's people whose channels have essentially become updates for that. This fish guy that I found straight. That's like 80% of his content now. Papa Gut, Nicholas Diorio, that's pretty much what they do is updates on that. They're doing very well. And I mean, I've done a handful of videos on that stuff too. They do pretty decent. Do some of that. Maybe it doesn't all have to be depressing trans-related stuff.
The last few.
But also, if you're asking people for suggestions, people who just watch videos, not really in a great position. If you're asking other content creators for advice, sure, but viewers don't even know what they want. They might think they do, but they don't. You just gotta look at the analytics.
Videos, something I felt was lost at the end of 2019. So please share any suggestions for things I can change, or even ideas for topics you think could draw people in, either down below, or you could always message me privately via our Discord server, which will be linked in the video description down below. Please, help me make 2025 the year that Essence of Thought returns to its fully functioning state. Give me security so that I can best serve our community, particularly those largely ignored. We can make
Give me money so I can keep doing my important work.
community, particularly those largely ignored. We can make that happen. Together. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I had to say. And an especially big thank you to our patrons, like the people currently shown on screen. Your support is what allows us to do what we do. In particular, we'd like to thank the following people: Matthew Kovac, Flynn, and Higgins the Seagull. And for myself, Edita, and Levi, take care now.
Okay. So, no, they do have a PayPal here. So that person who said they had reached the amount that they wanted to contribute, they could have just done that through PayPal. Maybe that's a new thing, but let's see how the Patreon is doing. I think I said they were at like 250, something like that. Let's see if I can find that really quick since that's taking forever to load anyway. Where was the chart with their earnings? Which is a wild thing to put in your video. Here we go.
$90.
They're down to 286, it looks like. And now they're up to 718 a month. Well, it looks like they made their goal. They're financially stable now. I wonder, was it Adida, their partner? Are they still going to be driving 6 hours a day, working 10 hours a day for $200 a month? I don't know. But it really is bizarre to me that this works. Just making a pathetic video where you cry and beg, and people are like, you know what? That spoke to me. I'm going to give this person money. Sure, there are countless other things that they could have done to help fix the situation for them, but they chose not to do that and let it just get so bad that they feel they have no options other than to beg. I think that's a good cause. I think I'll give that person money. Really, really just does not make sense to me. But so yeah, they got like $400 extra a month out of that. I think they said they needed 250. That would have made the difference. So they more than got it. But if this trend continues, like obviously it jumps up a little bit, but the trend continues, I mean, is it not just going to be a couple more months till you're in the same situation? I don't know. Can you bring yourself to make version 2.0 of this video? I don't think I could. But oh, also, they did put in the title of the video now. It's called Goal Reached. Is this the end for Essence of Thought? Well, the answer is no. No, apparently not. They're going to be able to keep it pushing. And I mean, I don't have a problem with the fact that they can keep doing that. I just don't understand the people who see some pathetic display like this and think, yeah, I want to give them money. Do they not care that this person, the Ian Danskins, the Struthlesses, the Quarterings, the Xanderhalls of the world, could do something else to fix their situation? They just not care that they have other options and they give the money? I truly do not understand the people who donate to these causes. But I hope people keep making these videos because I like responding to them. I find it some of the most fun content to do.